right, good morning. Let's go ahead and get started. Had a little bit of technical difficulty starting off this morning, but we are good to go now. So good morning again and welcome to the 11th webinar. This one is Maintaining Power Systems, hosted by Enercon Engineering. Thank you again for joining, everyone. For our new viewers, just a little bit about Enercon. Enercon is your power system integration solutions expert. Our products are custom engineered to meet our customers' exact specifications and requirements, however unique they may be. Our main facility is located in East Peoria, Illinois. That's where we do all our design, our manufacturing, and our testing. To date, we have produced over 40,000 projects worldwide. So not only domestically, but across the globe. Matter of fact, we're in 110 different countries. I'm your host, Sean Lott. I am the Director of Business Development. I am located in the Enercon Business Development office in Huntsville, Alabama. Just a few ground rules before we get started. You can ask any question that you want during the presentation. All you got to do is click the Q&A tab on the bottom of the screen, ask your question, and we'll get it asked as Scott is presenting. If we don't get to your question as he's presenting, then we'll definitely get to your question at the end of the presentation itself. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter. Today's presenter is Scott Wolfe. Scott served in the United States Navy as a nuclear field electrician from 1998. I actually joined in 89 to 2010. After leaving the Navy, Scott was hired by ASCO Services as a field service technician. While working for ASCO, Scott attended Colorado Technical University, obtaining a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science. He joined the Enercon family in 2020, and he is one of our field service engineers. So Scott, thank you for presenting today, and over to you.
Thanks, Sean. All right, like Sean said, I'm Scott Wolfe, and we're going to be talking about how to maintain your power systems today. So if you've been following along in our webinar series, we've talked about your backup power systems from the inspiration to the installation. We talked about retrofitting your gear, we talked about new gear, we talked about the design choices that you make and the physical deployment of your gear. Everything we've talked about up to now usually takes between 1.5 to 2 years from start to finish to get it all the way installed, up and running, and commissioned. What we're going to talk about today lasts for the lifetime of the gear. That time frame can be measured in decades. So when we talk about maintaining power systems, usually we have a bunch of questions that come up. We have who needs maintenance, what is maintenance, how is maintenance performed, when is maintenance required, and where can I get more information? So who needs maintenance? Well, if you're a healthcare facility, the Joint Commission, or JCO, requires that you follow NFPA 110. If you just have an emergency or standby power system, then you're also supposed to follow NFPA 110. And in Section 8, NFPA 110 tells us the inspection requirements as well as what your exercising requirements are both monthly and annually. With maintenance, there are usually two approaches to how we're going to do maintenance. You either have your proactive approach or a reactive approach. The reactive approach is also known as crisis management. The saying of if it isn't broken, don't fix it usually applies here, and you're going to be at the mercy of when your equipment breaks. You're going to be fixing problems as they come up, and it's usually unscheduled and at an inconvenient time. It can result in a costly downtime, as well as having small problems growing over time before they ever get addressed. Your repairs tend to be more expensive, and you have greater damage to your equipment or more parts being required potential. So if you've ever been in the middle of a crisis management situation and thought, well, there's got to be a better way, well, there is. And that reminds me, there's one site that I went to, it was a casino that they were in their crisis management mode of doing maintenance and ended up destroying a generator because they hadn't properly performed any maintenance for several years. That ended up costing them a generator plus all the downtime for their facility. So it was, the site guy was telling me that it was in the range of millions of dollars per minute while they were down. So I thought that was a poor decision on their part. But anyway, proactive, preventative maintenance. So this is an ounce of prevention being worth a pound of cure. You identify your problem areas early. You easily schedule it around the work demands of your facility, any work cycles that you have, as well as any site stand downs that you might be able to schedule into your schedule. It results in a greater uptime. You have fewer and smaller problems that are addressed early. Your repairs are normally less expensive, and you can usually address issues before they ever become a major problem. So since I'm here talking about how maintenance is run and stuff like that, I bet you can guess which camp I fall into.
Hey, Scott, real quick, can you, based on that scenario that you gave before about the casino, can you kind of talk through how they could have helped themselves if they had a proactive maintenance posture versus the reactive?
Oh, sure. A proactive maintenance posture would have identified, they had a component failure inside their gear that if it had been caught during a monthly test, would have resulted in recognizing that the equipment was going to be in reduced status for the period of time it took to get that one component replaced. Instead, they ended up reverse powering their generator and then ultimately damaging their actual generator as well as the gear itself. So that one small problem grew into a much larger problem because they didn't identify it early, and then ended up trying to just run the generator into the ground. So yeah, that if they had been doing the maintenance properly, they would have recognized the problem, and it would have been maybe $1,000 part, maybe. I don't know how much it would have cost, but it wouldn't have been nearly as much as a generator and a whole new system. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, that's a significant cost difference. So yeah, it basically almost pays for itself when you think about it.
Yeah. So preventative maintenance is a vital part of your equipment ownership. It's a cornerstone of your facility management. It ensures the maximum effectiveness of your equipment, identifies problem areas early, and effects repairs in a timely manner. At Enercon Engineering, we believe that a robust preventative maintenance plan will improve the performance and safety of your equipment, as well as improve the equipment life while minimizing the chances of failure, costly repairs, and unscheduled downtimes. So up to now, we've talked about the who and the what of maintenance. So now we'll get into a little bit more of how maintenance is done. Whenever we come to a site to perform maintenance, it's comprised of a few different modules or components. We have an external inspection, which involves the physical integrity of your enclosures, as well as the physical integrity of your circuit breakers. And we also test the status panel lights and your HMI panels. Depending on the age of your gear, you might just have a touch screen, or you might have all the little lights and a bunch of gauges and everything else. So we can test all that stuff. The internal inspection of the equipment is the next phase, which involves your fuses, your disconnects, wiring, any relays you may have in the gear, as well as your controllers, microprocessors, PLCs, and any connection points between all of those components and the external connection points to your gear and other sensing that you have. After we get done with that, we go into performing your general housekeeping operations, which is wiping down any exposed surfaces, as well as vacuum out the enclosures. And then once we get done with all of that, we will go into the test portion of the maintenance, which involves operating your system in both manual and automatic, as well as verifying your sequence of operations. So not every site can do all of that every year. Some sites are on an alternating year. Some sites can only do it every 2. Some sites can do maintenance every year, but not the full-blown maintenance. And we can work with each individual site to do any kind of customization that you need for that, for your gear. We can work any time of the day, any day of the week. And if you do have a maintenance contract with us, we like to give folks up to a 15% discount on spare or replacement parts. We can also provide your system manuals and a clean set of drawings for your system. So the next question that gets asked a lot is, how often does maintenance need to be done? There's actually two parts to that. You have your annual maintenance, which I just described that we would do for you. And then you would want to do a monthly maintenance every month in between your annual maintenances. Now, that's going to entail verifying that your system operates properly. So each annual maintenance also provides us with an excellent training opportunity. So if you have new personnel, if you have a bunch of longtime employees that just need a review, if you're working with new products that you've never seen before, we can tailor your on-site training so your team and your system are running at full potential. Enercon Engineering has an experienced product support staff offering customized training sessions tailored just for you. If you'd like more information about getting your maintenance started, you can contact Kathy Anderson. Her information is right down there at the bottom of the screen. She's our product support supervisor, and she can definitely set you up with getting started. So today we talked about whether or not you need maintenance, and that if you have a backup power system, you need to be doing maintenance, and that it's also better to be proactive versus reactive. So that's maintenance. Thank you very much. Are there any questions out there?
Yeah, Scott, thank you. Thank you so much. And what's coming to mind, it's almost like with anything that you own that you of significance, for example, like your home or your car, anything that requires maintenance, if you neglect it and you just think it's going to maintain itself, then you're accepting a great deal of risk. So in the power generation industry, that risk can be averted just simply by doing your maintenance checks. And then if you couple that with training, you no longer are you mitigating the risk, but you're also educating your folks so you can better maintain your systems yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a big believer in that the solution for most problems is just learning about your system and knowing how it operates and being able to recognize when it's not quite working the way it should. Because you can give us a call and say, hey, it's not operating right. And usually we can identify the problem pretty quick. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll transition into the Q&A. So just a reminder, if you do have a question, just click the Q&A tab there on the bottom of the screen and ask Scott any question you would like. And we'll kick things off. We have 1, 2, 3, about 4 questions thus far. So we'll go ahead and get started with the questions. So the first question is, in regards to maintenance tasks, what maintenance tasks should be performed by site personnel during the monthly checks?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So once a month, you should be operating your system. So usually that, depending on the type of system that you have, it'll entail just doing a switch over to your generators and then run on your generators for about 20 minutes and then back to your utility. That tests not only your switch gear, but also tests the generator to verify that that's going to be operating properly and ensures that all of the moving parts keep moving and all the still parts stay still. And yeah, so once a month, that should be what you do. It's not super invasive, and most sites that I work with will do that in an odd hour of the day, like 4 o'clock in the morning, one day a month, or at midnight during a maintenance window, or something. It depends on the site. I mean, it's very site specific when they get it done, but most places have found that a monthly run is super advantageous.
Now, when they do this monthly run, at what load capacity should they run it at? Or does it vary? Or
well, that depends on your generator manufacturer, because that's driven by your generator. Most generator manufacturers recommend at least 30% load for 30 minutes.
So 30% for 30 minutes. Okay.
And normally, that's what I've heard from most of the generator technicians that I work with, is that's the bare minimum that you should do. But really, load it with as much load as you can give it. If you can give it 80% load for 30 minutes, great. It'll love it.
Okay. And a follow-on question to that is, what materials are required during the monthly maintenance?
Monthly maintenance, just an understanding of your system and how it operates, and then just operate the system. Tell it to go to emergency, and then tell it to go back. And in some systems, all they do is say initiate a test, and then the system takes over and will automatically start your generators, go to the generator, and then let a predetermined time period pass, and then go back to utility, and then shut them down and be ready to rock in an event of an outage. So it depends on your system, but yeah, normally it's just a simple either flip a switch or push a button and tell it to go.
Now, do our field service technicians actually have to be there on the ground, on site, when they're doing these maintenance checks?
Do we need to be there?
Right.
Oh, not for the monthly, no.
Okay. So how does that occur? I mean, if they need assistance, is that like a pick up the phone or?
Yeah, for sure. If they have a question ever, they can give us a call, or if they have a problem, give us a call and we'll try to resolve the problem over the phone with you. If we can't get that figured out, then we'll get someone there to site as quick as we can. And we've got equipment in 110 different countries, and we can deploy worldwide. So if you've got a problem, give us a call. We'll do what we can to help you out.
Okay. And what if the equipment is not Enercon specific? What if it's somebody else's equipment? Can we assist with that as well, or is that it's got to be specific? You know, they purchase it from the package from Enercon.
We will try to help with any equipment that you've got. If you've got some other manufacturer's gear, we will do the best that we can to help you out with that. We're not super worried about that now. If you've got a problem, we'll do our best to help you out.
Okay, good deal. All right, here's another question that came in. What are some indicators during a maintenance that it's time for a system to upgrade?
Oh man. Okay, let's see. Age is going to be a big factor in that. And I say that because what you have for most systems are out there now anyway. You have a PLC that's controlling it, and basically that's a computer. And once the computer degrades over time, you're going to potentially have issues. I mean, and also think about how many computers you have in your home that you have run every single day, 24 hours a day for 20 odd years, and, you know, expect it to continue to operate like that into infinity. It's just, computers don't do that. So age is going to be a big factor. Also, if you're having repeated issues with a piece of gear, or you're recognizing that it's not responding in the amount of time that you've had previously, you're starting to get longer response times, or you're having issues with paralleling. I mean, there's a ton of different indicators, but it all boils down to it's not operating the way it was designed or the way that you want it to. Okay. Also, one other thing, that annual maintenance, while we're there with you, you can discuss changes to your facility that may then drive changes to your gear, whether you need to expand your gear or you need to make a change to the way your gear operates. That annual maintenance time is an excellent opportunity for you to interface with us directly, and then we can provide that feedback to our engineers, and we can be on top of any kind of changes that need to be made early.
Okay, so it sounds like to me that we got, what's the best way to put it? So as a facility changes or things grow, we can optimize the gear in order to maximize the output to make it more efficient. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. As your needs change, we can adapt the system to meet your needs.
Okay. All right. The next question is, this person says, okay, how does he get started in doing maintenance? So I'm making an assumption that they haven't been doing maintenance, so they looking at getting started. So where do they begin? What's step one?
Okay. Step one would be to recognize that you need maintenance. So you've already done step one. Next, give Kathy Anderson a phone call, and she can get you started with getting your annual maintenance set up. And then we can talk to you about your system specifics and how to operate it. In case if you do know how to operate your system, then I would say do a system operation test. Make sure that it works. And then go from there. If you have an issue, give us a call. If you don't and you just want more information, give us a call.
Okay. All right. So the person asked that question, yeah, pick up the phone, give Kathy Anderson a call, and then we'll take it from there. We'll have that dialogue. All right. The next question is, what are some recommended spare parts for switchgear?
Oh man, okay. Let's see. Spare parts for switchgear. Okay, that's going to depend on what kind of a system you have, and also what your system is backing up. So if your system is for an office building, your spare part requirements might be different than for like a hospital or some other critical life system. With that said, the other depending factor is going to be how much of a system do you have? How much redundancy do you have built into your system? So let's say if you require all of your generators to be operating to meet your load needs, then I would say that you absolutely should have a spare generator controller on hand, as well as an I/O card for your PLC. If you have enough generation that you don't necessarily need those two spare parts, okay, you might be able to get away without those, but then you should definitely have a spare fuse for all the different size fuses that you have in your gear, a couple of spare relays, and let's see, maybe a spare communication module. That's pretty good there with that. And then if you want to ensure you have redundancy or you have backups for all of your gear, then you could go as much as a completely spare PLC, fully programmed, ready to just be hot swapped out or something like that. So it'll depend on your system requirements, but yeah, that's a pretty good list.
Okay, and then part two of that question is, do we provide any type of, I mean, you just listed out a whole lot of things. Is there any type of would you, I guess, consider that to be like a generic list that can be sent out to folks? It's like, okay, these are some of the items that you need to consider to have as bid stock for spare parts for your switchgear, or do they need to pick up the phone and have that dialogue and then get a more comprehensive, customized list for the switchgear that they actually do have?
Yeah, I would say give Kathy a call and start open that dialogue, because it's so system specific. To answer the question, no, there is no generic list somewhere of just standard spare parts for every system out there. That's not going to be a thing. It's dependent on what you have.
Okay. And the next question that came in is basically he or she is saying that my company has been in reactive mode for quite some time, and they want to know how you say that we are responsive to crises, but they want to know how responsive we actually are. So if they run into a crisis situation, they pick up the phone, how actually responsive are we? And they said that they're in the continental United States in the South.
How responsive are we? Well, like I said earlier, we're going to help them as much as we can on the phone. And if we can't get them resolved on the phone, we'll get a technician to their site as fast as we can. We can respond nationwide. Just as fast as airplanes can get us there, we can get someone there.
Yeah. And you did mention, I think.
The phone support is 24 hours. So you can call us 24 hours a day and we'll give you phone support 24 hours a day.
And are you going to talk to a human or some kind of?
Oh no, it's a person. It's going to be one of the people like me that work with the systems every day.
Okay, so that's their 911 line for crises.
Yes.
Okay. You talked about our reach around the globe when it comes to field service support. Do you have any specific examples of folks that we may be serving currently that's in a different country outside of the U.S.?
Let's see. Yeah, we have a site down in Colombia that they had some kind of issue with their generator being down, and it turns out they have an old controller that they need to get replaced. And then in replacing that, they also need to replace their PLC. So we are going to send them pre-programmed PLC and generator controller, and then also provide the phone support to help them get that installed and operational.
Okay, so that's basically done. That's all over the telephone type coordination and support. Everything's done there in Pure and then shipped to them, and then we'll get back on the phone, have a teleconference, and show them how to actually do the installation work itself.
Yeah.
Now, is that like literally a phone line, or is that also like a visual type of where you guys see it wherever you're at, where let's just say Pure, for example, and you're talking them through it and you can actually see what they're doing?
Well, I think it depends on what kind of setup they have. We have the ability to do Zoom meetings or FaceTime or any other app like that, where if you need us to see what you're looking at, you can also send us pictures, email. I mean, if they have the capability to do it, we can do it on our end. So yeah, we could connect that way and do a point and explain.
Okay. All right, excellent. All right, that wraps up the questions. We do have a little bit more time, so if you are in need of a answer to one of the questions you're hesitant to ask, feel free to go ahead and ask it, and we'll get Scott to answer it for you. And while we're waiting on that, I want to put in a plug for our social media pages. So Enercon is plugged in. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. We're all over the place, basically. So if you go to, for example, YouTube, type in Enercon Engineering, you'll see all of our video library history. So not only will you see this webinar, which will get posted later this week, but you'll see all of our previous 10 webinars that are already posted as well in the library. So if you miss any of the webinars, and we've been doing this for a year and a half now, just go to YouTube, type in Enercon Engineering into the search bar. You'll see our YouTube page, and then you can go and watch webinars to your heart's content. We also have content on there to celebrate our 45th anniversary, because we 45 years in business last year in September. So we did a anniversary tribute, and they're only like 1 minute long, maybe a minute and a half max videos to demonstrate our capabilities throughout our long history here at Enercon that I think that you will also enjoy. So stay plugged in, please. So with that, Scott, thank you for your time and thank you for your expertise. I think folks learned a lot on what they need to do in order to better themselves, and then what we can do for them should they need our assistance and our help when it comes to maintaining their power systems. So I thank you for stepping up and helping us understand what it is that we can do and what we can offer.
Great, no problem. Thank you.
So with that, our next webinar is scheduled for July 27th, and it's the same time, 10 o'clock Central. I will be discussing a leadership management topic on lead change, or change will lead you. So we're going to deviate from our technical aspects of things and get into a more leadership and management type of topic. Since everybody's like returning back to the office now and there's some anxiety, at least we know we're experiencing it in Enercon ourselves with folks coming back in the office, and some of the protocols has been changing, and then change adds additional stress to an environment and inside the organization. So how do you deal with that from a leadership and management perspective in order to make sure that doesn't get out of control, where it doesn't bog you down and make you a non-productive organization? So that's what we'll talk about next month. So look for the invite to that in your inbox. Next week is when you'll get it. Remember that those invites that you do receive are shareable. So if you have colleagues or friends or anybody else that you think may be interested in attending these webinars, feel free to share it and have them join the party, and we'll have a great discussion. So on behalf of the entire Enercon family, I want to thank you all for joining us today, and I want you guys to have a blessed week and stay safe wherever you're at. And happy 4th of July. That's right around the corner. So have a great 4th of July. Take care. Thank you.